The life of elephants and lions has been studied by researchers in great depth, and the architecture of these two species, namely what are their family like, what do they eat, how do they look for mates, how do they look after the young ones, and what is their old age, has been written, and there is research continuing. The pictures that follow have been taken by me, and what I'm going to be saying is taken from these researchers plus what I've learned from the various drivers who came with me and my own observations. So by understanding how these animals live, both the males and the females, will give you an idea of what's maybe called the blueprint of social behavior. So the animals behave in a species according to their architecture. The governments of Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, Botswana, and South Africa have taken great pains to mark off areas for the preservation of wild animals, which they call as the game parks, and human intrusion in these areas have been stopped or extremely limited. With the result, the tourists can observe these animals where they live in freedom. So here the game parks which we have studied extensively are the Tarangire Park in the south. Next to is Lake Manyara, and beyond that is the Ngorongoro crater, and there is the vast Serengeti plains, 300 miles long, and there is a circular migration there of 2.5 million wildebeest, which is a world wonder and our heritage. To reach these parks, you arrive at Arusha International Airport or the Kilimanjaro International Airport and drive down for 1 hour to Arusha, where the safari starts, so you can see these animals from there. Animals need water and vegetation. By vegetation I mean the grass and the branches, leaves of bushes and the trees. Water is there permanently in rivers in the northern Tanzania parks. They are the Grumeti River and the Mara River and the Tarangire River. In addition, rainwater goes underground on the sides of the mountains and flows down as rivulets, which is what happens in Manyara and in Ngorongoro. So these allow for animals to live 12 months of year because water is there and the water produces heavy forestation. But in the Serengeti, there is not that type of water. So we will study that when we come there. So here is the Tarangire River. It doesn't look much, but if you look at the sides, you see the plants, the grass and the trees. So migration is following water, and this is the Serengeti plains, and you see this miles and miles of grass, and this is rain fed. Here's a picture of the wildebeest all forming in a straight line as they go along when they are not eating. And sometimes when they are eating, they are spread out as far as the eye can see. They occupy a small space for them. They munch the grass and go forward. But there is no pushing each other. There is no sense of don't come into my space. It's very cooperative behavior, even though there are 2.5 millions of them. And it is this peaceful way in which they live that needs to be observed. And you can see with the wildebeest or the zebras mixed together. But the zebras have a role to play. They are the ones which eat the top of the grass. The next level is eaten by the wildebeest. And the next, which is close to the bottom, is eaten by the Thompson's gazelle. And after that comes the warthog, which digs below the roots and eat the tuber. So these four animals, or species of animals, live together because their food is different. There is no competition for food that way. In fact, there is a harmonious working together. There are these small rivulets which give them water, particularly after the rains, and the crocs are waiting for them. And when they are in a crowd, there's no worry about it. They just go to drink, and if one of them is caught, too bad. Here are two, a lion and a lioness, and the distance is hardly what, 30-40 feet. But all of them are looking at the lions as they go by. The lions are not interested in the wildebeest, so there's no fear. So this is an example that the herbivores do not live in fear of the carnivores. Whether it's the crocodile or the lion, they are not worried. They keep their distance and can look at them. But when they come to crossing bushes and trees, so that from one area of grass they have to move to another area of grass, then if they walk slowly, they know that the lions are waiting for them inside. So what they do is they rush across and hope they will not be caught. But nevertheless, one of them will fall a prey. So the animal species, herbivores which live there, each species has a different plant for its food or different area of the plant. And observation shows that there's no competition within the species or between species. So all the species, the herbivores, live in peace. So let's take a further look at that. So here's the elephant, which can eat different type of plants, going right up to the top of a tree and eating the leaf, eating the grass on the ground near the water, breaks off branches and munches them. Buffaloes, which as far as possible stay near the water and eat the grass, which is of a slightly different variety. After having eaten, they rest quietly, chewing the cud. Zebras all together, eating the top of the grass. Here they are drinking water, and you can see that's the time when they are most vulnerable. They need two guards, one guard on the one side, the other guard on the other side, watching if there are any lions. Wildebeest, which eats the second portion of the grass. When the wildebeest have eaten during the midday, They lie down on the grass, chewing the cud, and the zebras keep guard. So look at the way in which different species of animal help each other to protect them from carnivores. Some more zebras, most beautiful animal, the zebra. The ears are all cocked up. It's got a good hearing, good sight. The giraffe, which eats from the top of the branches, the leaves there. The top of the acacia tree with 2.5-inch thorns. It has got a very long tongue, and below that is an iron palate, and so it can munch on the leaves with the thorns. But while it is eating the top of the leaves of an acacia tree, the zebras are munching the grass below. So different portions of plants become the food of animals. So they are not eating the same portion of the plant. So given a certain plant, so many different animals can eat from it, and that is why the Serengeti Plains supports such a vast number of animals. In the bushes, different types of antelopes. This is where the leopard hides. Impalas, the female impalas on the left side and the single male impala on the right side. So I'll speak about the reproduction of the impalas. The hippos spend all the daytime in the water, and usually only at the night time they go out because the skins cannot tolerate the heat. But if it's a cool day, they do come out. So here's the hippo which has come out halfway, and the hippo which has come out full way. But you can see it against the backdrop of the wildebeest and the zebra, and some of the wildebeest young sitting on the ground, and some ducks picking away in the front. Rhino, they are browsers. They eat the grass, but mostly the leaves of bushes. They have been hunted to practically extinction. A group of rhino. This is in the Lake Nakuru, which is the only place where you have several rhinos. So when you think of a species, it has several angles to it. So one is the food that it is necessary for its survival, and the next one is what's the family like. The elephant family consists of all females, with the oldest female called the matriarch, and the young ones of the males are only there up to puberty, up to age 12. At that time, the matriarch sends the young males away. The young males form a group called the bachelor group and move far away, so that when the time for mating comes, they do not mate with any of the females in the group where they were born, so that way they avoid inbreeding. So nature has to avoid inbreeding. So that is why they go far away, maybe 100 miles, maybe 200 miles, or even further. The young ones are looked after by the mother, and the young ones stand very close to the mother. Here's a group of elephants eating on the grass. They spend several hours foraging at one place, and you can see a mixture of young ones and old ones, and occasionally two group of elephants meet together and they greet each other with loud trumpeting, rubbing of their heads. The young ones frolic together, and after spending some time, maybe as much as 2 hours, they go their separate way. And there is no fighting between these groups at all. It's a sense of joy for them to meet. After eating, they have to have water, and the matriarch leads them to the water, and in an orderly fashion, they drink water. She knows the place where you cross the river. A bull elephant stays with his brothers, but when they reach the age of 35 or so, they are alone. They don't have any predators at that time. They are very, very strong. And they move about the range on their own. Here you can see a really old elephant with long tusks. Giraffe family group is both male, female, young ones all together. Impalas, they are all females with young males. Here this is the old boys club of the buffaloes. Very strong and very unpredictable, but they are a good feast for lions. So nature ensures that there's no inbreeding among animals. So they form bachelor groups, and then they determine who is the strongest, and it's the strongest which is called for mating. That way the young ones are strong. Two elephants which have left their pride and are ready to mate when the call comes. This is the bachelor herd of the impalas. They stay fairly close to the females because when they determine that the current male has become weak because he doesn't eat, one of the strongest males in this group will make a charge, and that's the charge that they make. They fight with each other. They don't injure each other, but they determine who is the strongest. And maybe the male which has been in charge for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks has been mating with all the females and has no time to eat and has become weak. But he goes back to the bachelor group even though he is defeated. Elephant reproduction has been studied very carefully, and the bull elephant comes into a special must, as they call it, for about 2 months in a year. And that's when their testosterone level is very high, and they respond to the call of the female in estrus. In fact, they can smell such a female 10 miles away, and they also announce they are in must. So it's only the must males which respond to the calls of the females. The other males do not respond, and their chance will come when their 2 months must comes. And when the male reaches the group of females, they are welcomed by the matriarch. The male smells which is the female which is in estrus, and both of them go away, and he mates with her for about 3 days. The actual mating takes place only about a minute, and then he goes away. And after that, other males do come and mate with this female. Buffaloes, they are together and then they form the strongest who will be mating with the females. Dick has a permanent partner throughout life. Hippos mate in the water. This is the impala, female impalas. Care of young and life of young. So I think the first thing which you will see is in the animal kingdom, it's the female which takes care of the young. The male has only one job of mating, and that too the strongest. And having mated for 45 seconds, he goes away. And the female lives with the rest of the females in the group, and they care for the young. So right from the beginning, the female young and the male young show different tendencies. The female is very caring about her sisters and brothers and spends more time with her mother, while the male young one goes off, meets all the elephants in their own family, plus any other family whom they come across. He has a butting competition with other male elephants as a play, but never to hurt them. The mother gets very annoyed if anybody comes between her and the young one. Not only among the elephants, but it is true among the rhinos, about the lions. So the mother is extremely careful that nobody comes to her when she has the young ones. Mothers are very protective. Drinking milk. Two young ones testing their strength. All in play, of course. Similarly, here's the young male chasing the chicks of an ostrich. They can get really injured if the ostrich, the black ostrich, which is the male ostrich, attacks it. And so one of the elephants will tell her this, lay off. Giraffe and young one. Buffaloes have their young one next to them. Thompson's gazelle. Very beautiful creature which lives all together and migrates with the wildebeest. And this is the target of the cheetah. Zebras have their young one, but they are pretty fast when they are born. Young of the hippos lives together. Look at the way in which they all lie on top of each other. This is a very unique picture. The crocodile also lives in the water, but in different areas. It never comes near the hippos because the hippos will just one bite and the crocodile will be in two halves. But there is a young hippo which has died due to natural causes, and the crocodile has come to eat it. And the hippos are around, and they know that the crocodile is not threatening any one of them, but it is eating the dead young hippo. and that's necessary because that's the way to clean up the area. Rhino young ones are always next to their mother. Warthogs, when the elephant reaches the age of 60, one may say it's an old elephant. It is in its last 5 or 7 years. It is born with a set of 8 sets of molars. Each set may last for 7 to 10 years, and as it eats the grass, the branches, that set of molar comes to the gum level, and then the next set comes up. In this way, 7 sets of molar are gone by the time it reaches 60. Knowing it's on the last set of molar and that it cannot continue to eat hard branches but can eat only soft grass, it moves towards the waters and takes the grass next to the water, and then it digs inside for even softer grass, and finally it has to enter the water and live in the water eating of that grass. But by this time, this last set of molar has been completely worn out to the gum level, and it can chew no more. So it just comes out, lies down on the grass, closes its eyes and dies. Then that body is food for the carnivores. The buffalo also reaches a particular age and leaves its breeding group of buffaloes. Usually it joins the other old buffaloes, and it leads a quiet life, and maybe one day a group of lions will attack and kill it.